Simplified Chaos, Episode 23.
Life is beautiful and full of chaos.
And it can get slightly out of hand if that shit's not tamed.
We're here to share how to simplify the little things to start leading a more purposeful life.
This is Simplified Chaos.
Hey, lovely people. Welcome. This is one of your hosts, Jillian, and I'm with my husband and our other host, Nick.
What's going on, folks? What are we diving into today, Jilly?
Today's topic is why we gave up Netflix.
Nice.
Kind of the reasons, I guess, why we did it, because that's the main question, and
some of the benefits.
Yeah, the space that's opening up in our lives because of it.
Very cool.
Yes.
I can't wait to talk about this.
Yeah.
So, before we get into that, as always, let's talk a little gratitude. Jilly, what are you grateful for today?
Today, I am grateful for a book I just finished.
Yeah.
This book is titled Everybody Always, and the author is Bob Goff, and I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right, Goff.
Yeah, Goff sounds right.
Does it? Okay.
There's a quarterback in the NFL named Jared Goff.
Oh, really?
And that's how he spells his last name.
You know more about sports than I do.
I do.
Anyway, this book was actually mailed to me by a friend that I went to high school with. So shout out to my girl Blair. She thought that I would really like this book, and she was right. It's very heavy on, there's a lot of religious quotes and lessons and morals, but you don't have to be religious to read this book. And I really loved all of his messages, and most of his messages, which were real life examples, were just about just accepting for people for who they are and just loving more and just embracing for people are for what people are, instead of trying to give advice and to change people. And if you find that once you accept people and you give them love, and that they kind of make changes on their own, which is kind of what I'm experiencing just in general, like as we're simplifying our life.
Very cool.
So yeah, highly recommend this book. And if anyone wants to read it, shout out to me, message me. I would love to kind of carry on the tradition of like mailing it to someone else. We can start a new book tradition, train. I don't know what to call it. Book sharing?
Book share.
Book mail train? I don't know.
Pen pals. Book pals.
Book pals. We'll just keep making all these ridiculous names up for what to call it.
Yeah.
I'll think of something catchy.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that book was pretty awesome. What about you, hon?
I am grateful for, and this is going to be kind of aligned with today's topic, though, I'm grateful for Marie Kondo.
Why are you grateful for Marie Kondo?
Because she was right.
What do you mean?
So when we did our decluttering episode or wardrobe episode, and we were talking about how we've changed our wardrobe, gotten rid of stuff, and things fitting neatly in our drawers, she said that once you do that, you don't stop doing it. And it's about 2 to 3 months later, maybe even 4 months later, and I'm still doing it and enjoying it.
And it takes you a good amount of time too, but it's funny how
it's a habit now.
Yeah, you make time for it, and
I'm looking around the room. There's no clothes on the floor. They're all put away in the drawers, still folded, stacked up, so that I can see them when I open the drawers. The closet's still very neat. We actually even took the door off our closet because it's so neat. You know, why have a door? Why have a barrier to something that looks really nice? Plus we need our pull-up bar there,
which is a nice habit. I've been hanging a lot lately.
Yes,
trying to do a pull-up, attempting.
Yeah, no, since we're talking about Netflix today, and she has a show on Netflix.
Oh, I see where you're going.
I feel like it's a good day to be grateful for that habit that she's instilled in me.
Yeah.
And us, really, because we have a very neat room.
Do you think, I know we both read the book and we also watched the series, but we know we read the book first. Which one do you think was more meaningful? Do you think the book or the show? Definitely
the book, because I guess we're going to kind of dive into Netflix anyway here. But with the show, it was kind of like watching HGTV when you say, see the house, and it, like love it or list it or something like that.
Okay.
Oh, our house is bullshit. It sucks. It's horrible. We need to get out of here and find something new. And it's the same show over and over and over and over and over and over. And yes, in each one of her episodes, she kind of introduced a different concept from
Well, it's a different
her,
family,
yeah,
different
different family,
problems.
different problem, but it seemed like it was the same.
Yeah.
As you know, at first I thought it was something different, but as I got further and further along, it was kind of the same. And really, when it comes down to it, her show is an advertisement for her book, for her consulting services and whatnot. It's just another way of advertising.
I will say it. I am a visual learner, and some of the things in the
Hmm.
book, I had to look up YouTube videos, like for example, on how to fold.
Yeah, but did you
So
need the Netflix
I
show?
didn't, because I just could look it up on YouTube, and there were so many people who made a video for how to fold like Marie Kondo.
Right.
So really, I didn't have to watch the series.
No.
I really got a lot from the book. And that's what I find when I do read books. I find out that I enjoy the books a lot better when, you see the movie and it's like, no, my imagination, my creativity was way better than
Right.
what was depicted in the film. And I think that has a lot to say about where we find meaning. It's usually
Hmm.
not in watching and spectating on TV. It's usually the experience and doing it, and that's kind of where we get the most meaning from, and the most creativity
Hmm.
from ourselves.
Yeah, and I'm also, like you said, I'm a visual learner as well, and that's why we have YouTube and all those other things, because somebody's put it out there, and if it hasn't, somebody will eventually put it out there, and it could be you that puts something out there and shows somebody how to do things.
True.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I kind of want to shift gears and let's dive really into the Netflix, and we're going to get into cord cutting in general, but really kind of focusing on
What do you mean
Netflix.
when you say cord cutting?
Well, everybody knows what cord cutting is.
I mean, I think of you cutting the cord from Lucille.
Oh God.
But like really, like I know there's a lot of things that are Wi-Fi, and I really want to know, like, how far is cord cutting?
Well,
I
cord
know
cutting
we've
is a
used that
term of
term.
cutting cable.
It's just cable.
Yeah, I mean that's really the terminology of it. But I think there's an overall bigger movement to alternative media than than normal. I mean, cable's been around for since we were kids, and it's changed the way it's looked, but it's still been run by big corporations and whatnot. And now a lot of these other companies are being more innovative and using today's technology. But still, even with Hulu, Netflix, you have a certain selection. You have things that most of what's on there you don't watch anyway. Um,
At least we don't.
no,
There could be
but I
people who
mean,
watch
what are you
all
going to do with
200 some
700
channels.
channels?
I don't know.
Like, there's no way
There could be
possible that
someone
anybody
out
can.
there who
But
does.
there's just what I've found is, with even with our decision to cut Netflix, and we've seen some pretty good series on there. We've been able to catch up on some series that were on network television, such as Breaking Bad. What was the sales one that you watched?
Oh, Mad Men.
Mad Men.
Mm,
But then there's been
Donald
Netflix.
Draper. So sexy. You
But then
rock,
there's
John Hamm.
but then there's been their own original series, and a lot of it's just kind of getting watered down now because everyone's trying to create something, and there's just too much content out there. And really, at the end of the day, we've seen some great shows, but how many of those shows have actually brought value to us?
Uh,
One?
I A lot of it was just really mindless entertainment,
Right.
and it had a place in our life then. And now I think the only show that I can say kind of made me like want to revisit is Chef's Table. Like it made me really appreciate where food comes from, and just seeing the chefs, their stories and their lives and where they came from, and how the preparation of what it takes to actually grow food is just amazing to me. But it had its place. Like we watched a lot of episodes, and now it's like I want to stop watching and start visiting farms and start growing like
Right.
food. And I think sometimes we get caught up, at least I do, I get caught up in just being a spectator. Like on HGTV, we watch all these makeover shows and we forget to take action. And I feel like that's the most important part in our lives, is actually experiencing. And I think that's one of the reasons why stopping
Well,
Netflix is for us right now, because we're ready to take more action. Like we've observed a lot.
hmm well, and some of those shows you really can't take action because you need
That's
a
just for
ton of money. Yeah,
entertainment.
it's more for entertainment. Like, with the
Like Breaking
Love It or
Bad, I'm not
List It
gonna
or
like
stuff
start.
like that.
I'm
You
not
have
gonna
to
start.
have like $70,000 in order to do a makeover, to your house. And is that really what's important to you? again, it's kind of a lot of mindless watching and just kind of filling the space. But, you know, we had the conversation the other week about cutting Netflix, and it was either cutting Netflix or YouTube TV. We have both of those. And we also have Amazon Prime, but the whole reason was there's been a price hike in both YouTube TV and
I think that was
Netflix.
like not the main reason, but it definitely was like, oh crap, why are they increasing the price by $2? Like,
Well,
and
it's
we're
because
so
Disney's
intent.
getting ready to come out with
It just makes
an
me
app.
angry. It's like that was. I'm kind of glad the price went up because it really made me like question why do we have Netflix and look at all the reasons why we have it
Yeah.
and is
And
it
how
really
often do
serving
we
us?
really watch it?
Yes, but it's like
We don't.
everybody else has Netflix. It's like that's the thing to do.
Yeah.
Um, but no, we really haven't had much meaning or value from Netflix.
No, no. Like I said,
That's a good point.
I think the one show was Chef's Table, and even like I said earlier, Marie Kondo had a show on there, but I didn't get any value out of that because I already read the book. And
Yeah.
even if I watched that, I probably would have bought the book and found more value out of the book if I would have done it reverse
Hmm.
and watched the show first and then bought the book second.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the main reasons we're cutting Netflix. But again, the other thing is we found ourselves wanting to be more productive, and for me, that's been really trying to enhance my skills and build my skills and do a lot of extra things for my profession. So I'm taking a lot of classes during that time where I would normally be sitting downstairs, after you go to bed and just kind of mindlessly watching television. So I'm either doing that, preparing for the podcast, or even reading. Like I've never been, a huge reader, but there's a lot of books that I know that I want to read, and I'm reading a good one right now. It's one of those ones where it's tough to put down, but I have to go to bed at some point, so I find myself reading a chapter a night, and those chapters are usually 30 pages. So I'm finding different ways to fill that time, and I feel like I'm actually reading things that are interesting to me rather than just filling space. I'm learning from those things. So it's really been a different experience. And, even though we have YouTube TV, I don't find myself watching it as much. One, because the Orioles and Masson are not on there. So baseball's not on the TV. And two, is that, we really have it so that your mom has something during the day when she's watching Lucille. So hence the reason why we have YouTube TV and why we made the decision to cut Netflix and not YouTube.
And I will agree that one of the reasons why we're cutting Netflix is because we are allowing more time and space in our life for personal development. Because I have to, TOO, I think that makes sense, reading more books. And I don't know if I would have read that book that I just recommended on the gratitude segment if, we didn't put restrictions on cable or television. And I like that we're putting more friction between us and watching television because I almost need to be, because it's such a habit. It used to be a habit of turning on the TV at like 7 o'clock at night. It's like I need another habit to replace it with, if that makes any sense. It's almost like, if you stop smoking, you need to find something else to fill that void to kind of help you get over that. And I've
Right.
never smoked a cigarette, but that's what I hear, so I think that it's important for me that I have a replacement if I'm taking away something. And for sure, reading or any kind of personal development, whether it's listening to podcasts or reading a book, it's definitely a much more meaningful replacement than watching television.
And, the other thing that has really caused us to cut back on watching TV in general is our daughter.
Our season of life has definitely
It
changed,
has.
and she requires a lot of time and attention. And I'd rather our focus be on her than distracted by television
And it's
or
such a great time to watch her
Netflix.
growing up right now. Like, who needs television when you see this girl just striding leaps and bounds every
Holy
day?
cow, it's
It's
just,
just something
yeah,
different. Like, it sounded like she was singing today one of her
it did.
her children's songs that she listens to in the morning. And it was just like, wow. And she's getting ready to walk soon, and just seeing the advancement every day is entertainment enough.
And that's almost another reason. I mean, not just because Netflix can be a distraction from what's important, it's also because she's already picking up what we're doing.
Hmm.
She picks up our phones all the time because we're on our phones a lot. And just seeing her model, like copy what we're doing, it's like, I don't want her to grow up seeing us watching television all the time,
Right.
sitting in front of this giant screen, just watching mindlessly instead of interacting and playing games or having conversation. So it's like, it's a reminder for me to show Lucille what's important and not just tell her, like, because children don't learn just by lecturing or words, it's by following you and
Right.
the actions and what you're doing,
Well, and
and
at this
it's
point,
so
they're very
important.
visual. I mean, that's how they're learning is by visualization and doing.
Hmm.
So if they see it, they're going to try to mimic it.
Yeah,
So yeah, we've become very conscious of that, and we've become more conscious with our phones as well. I would say we've
it's
definitely
it's
cut down
definitely
our phone use
a
a lot.
process. We're trying our best, and it's difficult, but yeah, I guess we're trying to practice to get better at that, and I think we're never going to be perfect, but
No,
it's it's a challenge. That's I think that's another podcast in itself, ways that we're trying to
yeah,
use technology less, but just use it more purposefully, I guess is the way I want to use it.
right. I mean, and we're not saying that we're going to banish Lucille from all technology. Technology has its place in our society today and in our household. One of the things that we really are striving for is for her to be creative and use her mind for creative things. And there's always technology for those mindless things. There's things where we've put it in our heads as just memory. And think about your history class when you were told to memorize certain dates. What purpose did that really serve you? But now we have a tool available to us that can help us with those questions that we don't necessarily need to know them to strive and or really to thrive in our lives today, because it is available to us. So yes, there is a place for technology in her life, but not right now while she's still just kind of learning everything.
Hmm. Well, I know we already mentioned this, but the other reason why we canceled Netflix is also because you said the price went up. So if you go back to our budgeting episode, we're very
Yeah.
intentional with how we spend money, and to me, it just didn't seem worth it. Like, it's now going to be like what, $15 a month?
So it's going to 13 a month.
13.
We were paying 11 a month, so
But
it's two
still,
dollars a
it's
month. 20. You think of it, it's an extra $24 a year. But when you think about it, no, it's 13 times 12, whatever that is.
good math skills, babe.
I don't know.
But yeah, it's like
Yeah,
something that we barely use anyway.
156.
It's like, why? No, I'm not even going to get upset about it. Like, I did get frustrated, but I was like, we solved the problem. We're like,
Yeah.
let's cancel it.
Again, we weren't watching it that much.
No.
Yeah,
And the thing is, it's not an end all be all. If we change our mind, say, hey, you know what? We could really use some Netflix in our lives. We could bring it back.
sure.
But
They
right
make it
now,
very easy to resubscribe.
of course they do. But I think sometimes, people get scared to like stop things because it's like, what if I don't like it? Or, what if I get bored? But
Hmm.
honestly, we found a lot of joy in the boredom. And we found like once we've kind of gotten things out of our life, we tend to not miss it.
I was getting ready to say
That's the
that.
hardest part, is
That
just
was.
cutting it out of
I
our
don't
life.
even give it a second thought. I mean, I canceled the service, deleted the app from my phone, so it's out of sight, out of mind. And we're 2 weeks after we've cut it, and I don't miss it. I'm not searching for it. I'm not like bringing it up just to see what's new. I actually don't miss the email saying, "Hey, this is what's new this month" and stuff like that. So, it's been quite nice, and I really don't miss it at all. And again, I'm not even missing television all that
No,
much at all because
honestly, I want,
it's
yeah,
very rarely on in our house anymore.
we could cancel YouTube TV and I would be okay, but I know we have it just for my mom, and I want to make my mom comfortable while she's watching Lucille.
Another nice thing, kind of going back to cord cutting at the beginning part of the episode, is it's not as simple as just turning the TV on with YouTube TV. You have to still turn the TV on, but then you have to get into the app, and then
There's a
you have
couple
to,
steps.
yeah. So
Hmm.
it's a little less streamlined than using just the remote control from your Xfinity box or your FiOS box. There are some steps into it, which also could be something that prohibits you from,
It puts more
watching.
friction
Yeah,
between you and watching it.
you're
Yeah,
like, do I really? You have to ask yourself, do I really want to go through all this to watch television? And to some people, yeah, that's a horrible thing. I need to get to my TV, which is fine. And this brings us to another point. We're not saying you have to do any of this. This is just what's working for us, and helping us resolve some of the chaos in our lives, and helping us be a little bit more meaningful and purposeful in our daily lives and the things that we do. But yeah, I mean, creating barriers to certain activities that you feel like you do mindlessly can help and go a long way.
and another reason why I think, just besides the cost and besides, personal development, also because of health. Like
Yeah,
watching, I would normally turn on the TV when it was nighttime. We would watch it together as a family. And honestly, like learning more of the science behind blue light and just what watching television at nighttime
hmm
is doing to us. It affects sleep, it affects your mood, it affects everything. And I think sometimes we forget that even though there are really cool new inventions coming out, it doesn't mean it's best for us. Like
right.
health wise, yeah, it might be cool to watch and, energy efficient, like all the LED lights we have. But now we're learning that there's all of this science coming out behind what it's actually doing to our health. And it's kind of like really opening up my eyes
Yeah,
to question more things that are coming out. Like just because it's new and improved doesn't mean it's best for our health and best for us. So I know my sleep is very important.
hmm
And since like not watching television at night, I'm going to bed earlier and I'm feeling even better when I wake up in the
right.
morning. So my overall health is much better because of not watching television as much or
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah, and if I'm on my phone in the evenings, I do have it's called night mode on my phone, but it takes away the blue light, or at least minimizes it. And
You should probably look into getting those blue light glasses.
yeah, maybe.
But I'm not really on my phone that much at night. Maybe
No,
for you or
it just depends. I mean, there's about 2 hours after you go to bed that I'm still up, just kind of doing things. But like I said, I'm trying to read more. But if I am on the laptop, I have the night mode on. If I'm watching educational videos or something like that, I try to filter out that blue light, and then close the laptop at least 15, 20 minutes before I actually start heading up to bed, and stop looking at the phone so that it doesn't affect my sleep. And I have no problems falling asleep. Like I fall asleep right away. I feel like I sleep great. I wake up in the morning, I'm ready to go. And I feel like that's, definitely a benefit that we've had from, not only us canceling Netflix, but from us just not watching TV as much in general.
true. Another reason why I think we stopped Netflix is also because I know we had a conversation about this, and I don't know if anyone has noticed it, but there's a lot of influencing with TV and
Ooh, you want to
shows.
go down that rabbit hole?
I don't want to say brainwashing, but if we consume all of these shows, storytelling, whatever you want to call it, we become influenced that that's the norm and that's what society wants us to do, if that makes any sense. Like, for example, I had this really interesting conversation with my doula, Brittany, and, I was just saying, like, it's just crazy how nobody knows about doulas. Like, if I mentioned doula to anybody, people looked at me like, is that like a hippie thing? Like, what is that all about? But it's funny that because that's how childbirth was. You had either a midwife or a doula or someone there that helped you give birth to your baby. And it was most of the time at home. But now with all the television shows, they don't really show home births. They don't show midwives. They don't show doulas in any of these shows. They show a woman screaming and yelling in a hospital. And as soon as she gets her epidural, it's like she feels so much better. But it's just funny how life is portrayed on television. And we think that's the norm and that's what we're supposed to do. So really, I think it's kind of like a negative influence on us and we don't even realize it. We just think that's part of life.
There is a lot of social engineering going on in Hollywood and with the things that we consume on TV and in movies. And the way that they influence you is by sticking in laugh tracks to, make you think certain things are funny, when really what they're talking about is when you give it a real deep thought. It's just like, man, this is fucked up. It really is, and yeah, I've gotten lost in a lot of those shows. I find them funny, but when I really look back on it, I was like, man,
Did you find it funny, or did you find it funny just because they put a laugh track in it?
both. But I mean, again, it was like no values. I mean, there's a couple shows that I watch too that are just completely, degenerate, and I don't know. It's just I feel like there's a lot of hidden messages and hidden meaning, and there's really a lot of social engineering going on within these shows, and it's feeding into our consumer habits as well.
Well,
And
that's
it's
another
just,
thing.
yeah,
The
it's
less TV we watch, the less commercials and the less comparing you do and thinking like, I need that because everyone has that. Look how excited, like even for Lucille, like I I find that now like the toy consumption by kids is like crazy. And I'm pretty sure social media is having a great effect on that
hmm
because kids are watching YouTube videos or watching television and they see commercials and they just see all of these things that they think they need, and then that's why they desire them because it's convincing them that they need it and they have to have the next
right,
best thing. And can you imagine if like we didn't have that? Like they wouldn't be comparing themselves all the time thinking that,
right,
well, they have that, why don't I have that? It's like they're content with what they have and they're grateful for what they have. So I
yeah,
feel like less consumption of television, it just helps you appreciate what you have even
yeah.
more.
And we even talked about it in the last episode. Is that a lot of the advertising, the stuff you see on TV, stuff you see on social media is really contributing to a lot of mental health issues with particularly amongst young people. Anybody who's under 24 are really having problems with that. Who have grown up in the social media generation, who are consuming more TV now than ever, with commercials time being much longer. I mean, shows are only what 21 minutes, 22 minutes, and another 8 minutes of that half hour is filled with commercials, just jammed in your face. And they do a great job at saying that if you don't have this in your life, you're missing the party, or you're a loser or whatever. It's crazy.
And now they're like sliding marketing into like television shows. Like they're being real sneaky
Oh, they've
about
been
it.
doing that
Like,
for a long time.
and it's funny how I never noticed because I just would mindlessly watch. But now that I'm like even more intentional about like after I learned that, I was like, holy cow, they are like it's just crazy
Well,
propaganda like that they squeeze in there that you think like I need that or what.
Wayne's World. Wayne's World, that one segment where they talk about sponsorships, and they do the Doritos ad, they do the Reebok ad, they do the Advil ad or New Print or whatever it is. But I mean, they're making fun of what really goes on in movies and in TV
It's kind of
shows.
like the
Is that,
Truman Show
yeah, I mean,
where
it's
they're like
crazy.
advertising on the
Yeah,
show. It's just I'm just disappointed on like how sneaky marketing, well not I know that's not marketing, just advertising is and just convincing us we need things that we don't need and it's just up to us to really question it and
hmm
to put those barriers between it. And honestly, it's like I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to stop watching it.
yeah,
That's my solution.
exactly. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to cover, or are we ready to dive into some resources?
I think we covered all the reasons why we're
Yeah,
canceling
yeah.
Netflix. So I think we're good.
All right.
Oh, but I have some resources.
Yeah,
Are you
I was
ready
gonna
for
say,
that?
where's your
Sorry.
resource?
That's why I thought you were asking if we were done talking about that topic. My bad. So my resource today is
Dun-dun-dun.
a podcast episode I listened to.
Oh, which
And
podcast?
so the podcast was the Melissa Ambrosini Show,
All right.
and she always has amazing guest speakers on there.
Mm-hmm.
And this guest was Dr. Jack Cruz, and he brought up some really shocking, I mean, to me, just research that's been buried, and now more and more data is coming out just about the effects of blue light, just
5G.
5G, and just like the modern indoor lifestyle and how it's negatively impacting our lives and we don't even realize it. We're just going through the motions of, most of our lives I feel like are spent indoors in an office building, if there's people working full time, they're just in an environment that's not as natural as it could be, and it's just forcing me to get outside even more. And he just brings up all the data and the research, not just by him but by other doctors, about the positive effects about just being outside more in real sunlight. So I don't want to dive too much into it,
Yeah,
but
no, you definitely have to give that episode a listen because it is eye-opening, and I was just I'm questioning a lot more because of it.
and I'm even in my classroom, I have even turned out all the lights. Like we just use natural sunlight for lighting my classroom now. And it's weird. I've only done it for like a week, but now I go into someone else's classroom and the lights are on and my eyes are like, oh my gosh, like how did I don't understand how I was teaching in it because it doesn't take that long for your eyes to adjust, but my kids don't even it's like the norm now. It's only been
Right.
5 days and they're like totally okay with it because I told them the why. So I think just once you know the why and the science behind things, it
hmm
just helps you make those changes even more rapidly in your life if that's important for you.
Yeah.
And
And I appreciate how direct this guy is in his answers and doesn't give any bullshit. Like he's very passionate about it.
oh
He's
yeah,
done a research, and so it's a very interesting episode to listen to. So definitely suggest that.
yeah. So we will put that link in the show notes if you care to listen more and do some more digging.
Yeah. So let's get into that quote of the day.
Cool.
All right.
The quote of the day is by David Niven, and I actually looked up who it was because I was kind of curious. So he's a British actor. He's no longer alive now, producer, and he's a novelist. And this is a quote in a book that he has that's called 100 Simple Secrets of Great Relationships, What Scientists Have Learned and How You Can Use It.
Okay.
Okay. So his quote is, watching too much TV can triple our hunger for more possessions, while reducing our personal contentment by about 5% for every hour a day we watch.
Yeah, I think that's spot on.
And all of the quotes that he has in this book are data driven. So there's a reason why this quote is in there, because there's some factual information about this, but I can completely agree with it as well.
No, that doesn't shock me whatsoever, and I think that was very well articulated.
Thank you. I did
Yeah.
my best. So the take action from this episode is just to, if you have anything in your life, technology wise, TV wise, just anything that you think that you might be mindlessly consuming, just question why you have it. And if it's
Even
not,
journal it. See how much time you're spending on there. A lot of phones can show you how much time you're spending on any given app.
not
Uh,
television though.
Not television, but you can set a timer.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
just see, is it really adding value to your life or is it just filling a void?
Yeah.
And there might be something, a more healthier habit to replace that. And also do some digging, like listen to that podcast episode, just listen to the research about just technology, and just because it's out there doesn't mean it's healthy for us to consume. So really, I mean, just don't take anything for face value anymore. We have to be our own advocate to find out what's good for us
Yeah.
and what's not.
Exactly. All right, folks. Well, that is our episode for this week. If you like what you heard, please take a screenshot and share it with your friends on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or any of those other social
Oh
media
my
channels
God,
out there.
so many.
There's so many. We
So
would
bad.
appreciate that. And if you have a chance and you like what you hear, please give us a review on iTunes or Google Play,
Just-
Spotify.
Man,
Yes.
I can't keep up with them
I
all.
know, there's a lot. But anyways, thank you all for listening. We will talk to you next week.
See you later, guys.
We want to thank everybody for listening today. Please be sure to subscribe and sign up to receive notifications so you know when the next episode is live. If you like today's episode and know someone who could benefit from the topic we covered, please share it with them. And if you have any suggestions for us or want to chime in on today's topic, you can email us at simplifiedchaospodcast@gmail.com, and that's chaos with a K, or send us a comment on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you next time.